a second. Okay. Give everybody a chance to come on in. Okay. And I had set up a previous stream, so now I don't know, but they should get notified either way.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I sent you the link beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
What I can do is check over here too.
How long do you wanna go?
We'll take it as it goes. I'm trying to see if I can see us over here. Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm trying to see if I can see us over here.
Hi, my love. Okay, we're beyond the technical issues. You know, this was our first time. Hi, guys. Lovely Soul Empress here. I'm gonna let TikTok into, and then we're gonna get started. All right. Let's let them in. I had to turn off my lights because it was giving a funny glare. Okay. Give them a moment. Hi, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So I have a special show for you guys tonight. I feel like it's going to be very interesting. What's good, Mary Alice? Hey, gang, gang, come on in, come on in. And I have a special guest. Okay. There you are. All right. Everybody's in the house. Okay, gang, gang. We have a really special show tonight. This is, let me introduce Jamal Robinson from 720 Astrology. He is our special guest this evening. This is actually my first special guest since I started my channel, and I'm really looking forward to this, okay? So before I introduce him, I'm just going to give you a little brief background because, you know, Spirit has his hand in everything that I do. I was just looking through some content on TikTok, and one of his videos came up, and I started following him because I felt like he was knowledgeable. And he did one particular video, and it was about, I believe you said it was the midlife crisis, but like how the 8th and the 12th house fall into the chart. Anyway, as he was talking about his theory on that, Spirit said, that's him. So Spirit had me book a reading for myself of my own astrology chart. So you know that's rare. And then secondarily, we actually have like the same Venus and Aries. There's some other coincidences. But we got to talking about the North Node, and I felt like a great subject to discuss was going to be having him come on and explain the eclipses. So without further delay, Jamal Robinson from 720 Astrology. Hey.
All right. All right. In the building. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Empress, for even listening and to any of my information online and thinking enough of me to follow and then to actually reach out and work with me. I don't take that lightly. And as I told you, I was already following your channel. And, you know, as an astrologer, we had the advantage of being able to look at an ephemeris. And if you understand these planets, you can kind of get a forecast of how things are playing out, and you can assess the past, the present, and the future. And when somebody is not using those tools, and they are in fusion with that which is beyond this realm, that gives you a way of knowing whether they with the flim flam.
Correct.
When what they say is lining up with what you can see astrologically. Because I feel that there's a through line between these different modalities. And that's why I respect what everyone does as long as they are thorough and sincere in what they do. And I ain't even told you this. I'm like, I watch some videos like, damn, like you gotta quit hiding. You you said something about one video, like you gotta come out and stop hiding, and the stuff you've done, the stuff you've been through has been for a reason. I'm like, damn, I kind of feel like she peeking in my window, you know. And so things like that kind of trigger with me, like, all right, yeah, she thorough. So with that in mind, it even made it even more of an honor that you reached out, and triply that you having me here sharing your platform. So
Oh, thank you, thank you.
namaste.
And I am honored as well. I really want to, before we get started, guys, because there's going to be a lot of information. I told y'all to bring notebooks, get a drink, a snack, whatever you got to do. Pull up a chair. But maybe if you could start by explaining to them, eclipses, and then what's different about this eclipse.
Okay. Well, I'd like to start with just this to paint the picture. We are said to live in a universe. Okay. So uni means one and verse means song. And so if we imagine this as a musical composition where Mars plays at a certain note, Saturn, the moon, the sun, Jupiter, and so forth, they all play at these different notes and they form this composition. Each of us has a birth chart, which is a particular song that we represent. Now, as that music is playing, you go along. When we have an eclipse, what is happening is the light of the sun is being impeded momentarily. And either it's a solar eclipse where the sun and the moon are conjunct, or it's a lunar eclipse where they are in opposition. Either way, it's about the light of the sun temporarily being disrupted. So it's like you at the club, you dancing, you drinking, and all of a sudden the music stops. And all the energy in the club has just come to a screeching halt because the music is driving the energy in the club. An eclipse is a momentary stop in the music because the sun, its light is temporarily impeded, whether it's blocked from the moon or it's blocked from it directly shining here on the earth. And so the ancients were always showed reverence towards these eclipses because when that sunlight is blocked, it can have lasting effects on this earth. And I want to say this, if you don't mind, it's a lot of fear mongering going on online right now.
Indeed.
And on the flip side, there are a lot of people who don't respect nature. And they don't. So I'm in Texas, so I'm in the umbra. The umbra means I'm in the shadow of the eclipse. We're going to literally be able to see it. They selling glasses. They selling all types of stuff to capitalize. That is not respect.
No.
Everything ain't to be commodified. Some things you're supposed to step back, not be scared, but you're supposed to show some reverence because an eclipse is a time to reevaluate, reassess the areas of life that involved around the sign that the eclipse is going to occur in. So the first eclipse is going to occur at 5 degrees of Libra on the 25th of March. So Libra astrologically has the symbol of the scales.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would like to say that if you go to your TikTok, you can open up your screen and instead of your picture so they can see what you're doing.
Oh, so okay, what I so do I tap
Because
the
on your screen, you get to choose whether you want the camera to show you or you want it to show like your picture. So if you look at that way, when you're holding up things, they can see it on TikTok as well.
do I tap my picture?
There should be an icon on the picture that's telling you whether you want to share your camera
Oh
or not.
man, I'm tripping. There it is.
You got
Oh,
it?
okay.
So go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt, but I want them to be able to see what you're saying.
Oh, thank you. I ain't even
You're
know.
welcome.
Okay. All right. So these are the scales of Libra. So this first eclipse, which is a lunar eclipse, which means the sun and the moon are in opposition to each other. For one, it is highlighting Libra in everyone's life in your chart. So we're thinking about it's a lunar eclipse. So it's how do I feel? How am I internalizing the Libra aspect of my life? So on the surface, Libra is relationship, and relationship means balance, like these scales. So is something out of balance? Is does what I'm involved in, does it beautify my soul? Because this is Venus. Venus is the planet of attraction. Venus is copper, and copper conducts electricity. So is this relationship, is it allowing power to flow, or is power getting cut off? And this applies to you whether you are in a relationship or you're single. Because if you're single, how do you think about relationships? What's your mindset? If you're in a relationship, what's the nature of it? These are things that come up at a full moon, which is what this is just like when we have an opposition. But this is when you have an eclipse, it's like a full moon on steroids.
Absolutely.
Because things end on eclipses because it's a cycle. This eclipse is part of hundreds of other eclipses that are part of what's called a Saros cycle. And Saros means repetition. So just like when we have the eclipse in April, that series started back in 1501, which we're going to get to that.
Yeah, so before we even get there, let me just start off by saying, because once you start explaining like the Libra and relationships, and actually one of the things I tell my followers is that every relationship is a mirror of you. So when you say that the Libra, even whether you're single or not, thank you guys for the gifts, even when you're single or not, it's still reflecting, right, how you purport yourself in relationships or how you view relationships. So maybe before we get into like give them how the North Node ties in, or before we even get there, right, because the moon, right, the moon does the tides and the eclipses. They might not know that also that controls the North Node. So I'm gonna give you the floor, let you break that down.
Okay, so node means not. So the moon's orbit will make contact with the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the term that represents the imaginary line that the sun moves through. So the moon's orbit will cross the solar ecliptic north of the equator and south of the equator. North would be called the North Node, or the knot, because it's where two energy lines cross, and that thing, although it's mathematical, it is real. it has an impact on us here on Earth.
Absolutely.
So where they cross, there's a knot or bundle of energy. And where they cross in the south creates another knot. Those create points of focus for us and for 18 and a half month cycles. The node changes every 18 months. And where the north node is would represent where we are kind of focusing our attention to move towards. Where the south node is where we're kind of not abandoning, but we're not focusing our energy particularly in that area. We're looking at its counterpart. So the south node right now is in Libra. The north node is in Aries. So like the Empress said, at the end of the day, everything's coming down to who am I? Even as it applies in relationship. So for us to have an eclipse, there are a few things that have to happen. One, either the sun and the moon have to be conjunct or they have to be in opposition. Then the distance from the node has to be within a certain amount of degrees. Final, that must be what's called a parallel aspect. Parallel means the declination, which is like, say this is the orbit, and say here's the node. How high or low is the orbit relative to the node? The sun's orbit, or the sun's position and the moon's position, have to be within plus or minus 1 degree declination for there to be an eclipse. So there got to be the conjunction between the sun and the moon, which would be a new moon, right. Or there has to be an opposition between the sun and the moon, which would be a full moon, and they have to be at the same plus or minus declination. And what was the other thing I said? And the distance they are from the nodes. Okay. If we have those, then we will have an eclipse.
And I would say too that for those of you that are thinking about your own personal north nodes in your chart, I feel like your own personal north node in your chart represents like what your goals should be in this lifetime, or where you should be headed, or what characteristics would best serve you for your purpose. Whereas the north node that's happening to the greater public is where we should be concentrating right now. I think that's the delineation between your own personal north node, that is like your guiding star tarot card, right? Your north node for your life's role. And then there's the north node that's happening, the cycle that's happening right now, wherever you're at. So be mindful of that and what house that falls in, because that could be an area of concentration. Am I wrong?
Right. And always keep in mind that the signs are like the axle on a car. You got to have the left and right tire to steer that car. So the south node always is like home base, because south node is where we're more comfortable. The north node presents a challenge for us to incorporate it in, but we're never abandoning either side. We're having to figure, like, the whole concept of the nodal axis is like we're having to figure out, it's Libran in itself, because we're having to figure out how to balance the two. How do I, because your south node in your natal chart, which that's going to be the node that sets, as the Empress said, it sets the nodes in your chart, set the tone for your life. The transiting nodes are a focus for us as a collective for 18-month segments. But in your individual chart, your south node represents where you are naturally comfortable. And your north node is like, all right, I know you're comfortable right there, but you need to incorporate in these experiences around this theme for you to balance out your soul experience.
Yes, because to me, this is, Earth is a school, and we come
Indeed.
here for different experiences. And yes, I view the South Node as where you're comfortable. I also view it as things that you may have done in the past that is now time to spread your wings and outgrown that. Like, you wouldn't put on your 7th grade coat. It would be too small. It was yours, but you've outgrown that. So that's how I look at the South Node. And I look at the North Node as like the mission that we forgot. Because we come here, with a soul contract, but we have to remember, part of it is to remember what you're supposed to be fulfilling. And I feel
Indeed.
like the North Node hides that information. And I think we spend way too much time on our sun sign and not enough time on our North Node.
That's the tricky thing about a chart is figuring, especially when you first start out, is figuring out what information should I focus on the most, because it's so much that you can go into in a chart that you can trap yourself and you can go on and on down this rabbit hole. But yes, the big themes. The sun sign, yes, is always important, but yes, the North Node is very important. Your ascendant is very important because that's the seed that you bring. Like, what if you got a garden? Everything's about seeds right now. Like, are these Terminator seeds? Are these real organic seeds? Because that's your ascendant. That's the seed you start with. So that North Node, because the North Node is kind of saying, this is what this seed is supposed to set its trajectory towards, is my North Node.
We have 2 important questions in the chat, so I just want to
Okay.
quickly give them a second. Okay, so the first one was, what's the best online resources to understand these things? And I'll let him answer that question. But in regards to myself, I really feel like you need 2 factors. You need to be following people that can explain to you in a way that you can understand. Okay, because it doesn't matter if the person's knowledgeable. If they don't speak your language, you're going to get lost in the sauce. So start following people that are making sense to you. Okay, and maybe also because I feel like everybody's chart works a little different. And so, follow, like, kind of journal what's going on in your life, because as you start learning, you're going to wish you had journaled, because later you're going to be like, oh my God, I could have seen this. I would have seen that. So we'll help you. Okay. And the second question, I'm going to give you the floor to answer them, is how do you find your North Node? You have to do your birth chart. But what do you think are some of the best resources for people to learn more about that?
I think I think what you said is, I agree. I think, let me answer this way. The Sufis show reverence to the palm tree because the palm tree has roots that seek water anywhere. And that's, palm tree is designed to grow in dry places.
Right.
So be like a palm tree and seek knowledge everywhere. So, as Lovelee said, find people who you can understand. Also, if you got children, listen to me. Your children are your university. They ain't no, if you like your chart, if you in relationship, that person's chart, your children, because you always got data. Like my chart, I lack mutable energy. I can start stuff and I can finish it, but I'm stubborn. And I can find myself getting too bogged down and being angry when, can I cut up? Can I, they have to keep it real clean?
Oh no, because I cuss like a sailor. You're
Okay,
good.
because I'm trying to not be disrespectful, but
we good.
but I be mad when, and I got 4 mutable sign children.
Oh, wow. So you're getting, so all the mutable sign that you didn't have in your chart, you're getting reflected back at you. Somebody did ask, how do you get your North Node?
North Node. I'm sorry, I'm going too long.
You got to do your chart, and you do need, like you could go to Astro Cafe is a good one, I guess.
Yeah.
And just put in your birth time. You have to know your birth time and the location, so that you can get that information.
And the North Node, I'm trying to show it.
Yeah,
The
you had
North
it. You had
Node
it.
here. Can you see it on TikTok?
No, it's the wrong page. Move over. No, we're getting the opposite page. It looks like a shoehorn upside down, right? Like a horseshoe upside down, correct?
Yeah.
There it is. There it is, guys. You see it?
When you see that on your chart, that's your North Node. It looked like a pair of headphones.
Yes, it does look like a pair of headphones. That's a great analogy. Yeah, so that is the subject matter. We kind of wanted to give you a little background of what we're going to be talking about. I would say that one of the things that tripped me out, because before I met Jamal, I was already quite interested in the North Nodes and how every 9 years. So you have a sister sign. Everybody has a sister sign. So I'm a Taurus. My sister sign is Scorpio.
That's right.
Okay, that's the opposite sign, right? So everybody has an opposite sign. And every 9 years, it's going to be either in your sign or in your sister sign.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that every 9 years, something's going to happen in your chart, and it's going to be like somebody showed their ass. It could be you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be able to track. Like, I know specific things ended and started around my 9-year cycle every time. So the first time I learned that blew me away. And I have been doing it ever since. So
can I share something about that?
I definitely want you. That's why I'm handing it over to you to explain to them about the cycles, and that kind of wanted to give them a quick background.
So this eclipse, the second one, the big one that everybody's talking about, the solar eclipse on April 8th at 19 degrees of Aries. This one is especially important for me because 20 years ago, I started, when I was in the fitness business, I filed for the DBA. And it was around the time the sun was at 19 degrees of Aries, which is where the eclipse will be coming in April. And in 2005, we had the same eclipse at the same sign. So that's another thing. You want to track, depending on how old you are. I'm old enough. I got a few 19-year cycles I can track in life, So 2005 was a year after I had filed that DBA, and the eclipse came at the sign of where the sun sign was for my business. And that opened up a new world for me. That's when I knew that it was like, oh man, this is really what I was supposed to be doing. That's why I want to say eclipses ain't that. You ain't got to be on this gloom and doom like the world going in. And some of these things may be closing a door for you, and it might be propelling you down a road that you don't even know what is to come. And it ain't got to be nothing bad.
Absolutely.
But it might be something at the moment that may feel bad because it may end something for you that needs to be ended.
For the new cycle, yeah.
The light of the sun is being blocked out. So you can start a new cycle. And sometimes we need to be pushed out of the nest so we can learn to fly. But I'm sorry.
No, I think it's, I want them to understand that, because like for me, right around that time, because 2004, I set out to adopt a child. So right around that time, right? That happened. And in another 9 years, that would take us to like 2000. I had just moved to another state, Ohio. So now I'm in Ohio. I'm a homeowner. And you could have never told me when I started off those first 9 years adopting that child that I was going to be in farm country, a Harlem girl. So those 9 years can take you really by shock. It's like a trajectory that sets you off in a new direction. Okay, so somebody was saying that their north node is in Aries, and that is happening right now. Okay, so before we go further, I feel like we should explain now what the Aries, because now that we already told them what the importance of their north node is in their own chart, we should talk about what this Aries north node means and what the Libra south node means apart from the eclipse, so that they could understand what this 18-month period means for them.
Okay. If you go back to mythology, the template for the lovers would be Aries and Venus. Aries is a wild boy. He's uncontrollable. And Venus is the most beautiful goddess. So her beauty attracts.
And sorry to interrupt, but you meant Mars, right?
Well, Aries
is
in
Mars.
Greece, and he's Mars in Rome.
Right. I just want them to know that.
Oh, okay,
because
my fault. So Mars.
Yes.
Mars
right?
and Venus.
They may not know that. So you have to give them, both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fault. Not to be confusing. Yeah, in Rome, he's called Mars. In Greece, he's. But I'm gonna keep it on one system so I don't confuse things. So Mars is a wild boy. Okay, he likes to get it in. He gets drunk. He's a womanizer. And Venus she's the divine image of beauty. So, being the ruler of Libra, she is attraction. She's magnetic. She pulls because the beauty attracts attention. So Aries is the forward thrust because that's all he wants. All Mars wants to do is go forward because he thinks he's the hunter, but he ain't. Venus is the hunter. But that's a whole. Maybe we can come and have that discussion another time.
I would love to. We're making it to a series.
So the North Node in Aries is about the Martian side of you, because whether you man or woman, you have the go forth energy because that's your ascendant. So what goes forth from me? What projects out to people? My identity. Who am I? My I amness is what greets everybody else. So the North Node in Aries is about who are you? Whether you're in a relationship or not, all of it comes down. What kind of seed do you have? Now, Libra is the joining. So Libra is about, and here's what I want to say too, because it's go back to what the Empress said. Everything has a sister side or a sister sign. So don't get it twisted and think that Libra is all about. We read these books and they say Libra's just passive and can't make their mind up. Well, sometimes, but Libra can give you some real ill Martian shit.
Yes.
Because Libra has Mars in it. So Libra is going to recognize when some shit ain't right and my scales ain't balanced. And then then it will give you Mars. And as crazy as Mars is, Mars seeks to be in companionship. So the North Node is focused on who I am, the quality of my seed. And Libra is more reflective. It's more about Mars is will. The North Node in Aries is will. The south node in Libra is fate, because the
Good.
sun sets in Libra, it rises in Aries. What's rising from you, and what's the karma of it? Libra, what is received?
So I would like to, because I think that's a perfect explanation when you're talking about astrology and the definition of what it is. I would also like to put 2 points. When you say the I am and the Aries function or the Mars function, you can also equate that to Reiki for those of you that are like, I'm a Reiki master. So for those of you that are into Reiki, that is your root chakra. That's the core of you. I am. That's the jump off. Okay. So you can equate that to that. I would say that the way that spirit gave me, because I'm not astrologically trained, I usually go off of what the energy spirit gives me, is like, for me, because I am a Aquarius North Node, I look at this cycle as an 18-month period. It's not my North Node, but it's a clue as to what I should be concentrating on. And being that that's the case, where am I supposed to be expressing myself, bettering myself, moving forward for self, developing self, right? And what relationships either help, hinder, which ones that maybe I don't like what they're reflecting back at me.
Yeah.
And that might be something that I need to work on. Maybe I need to work on accepting that I can't, especially as a Taurus, okay, with a Venus Aries, Aries Venus, not wanting to tell people, no, this is how you do this shit. Right?
And I ain't moving neither.
Right. Right. So it's telling me to work on that. And when I look at Libra, like, what is it that I need to work on in relationship areas, or what I might have to distance myself from to achieve what I need for self? So
Yes. You triggering my mind too, because it also brings up the counterbalance of war and peace.
yes. And somebody asked, does everyone have a North Node? Yes, everyone does.
Yes.
Go ahead, please continue.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty, when you said that, like, sometimes there's a time for war.
Absolutely, yes.
And Mars rules over knives.
Yes.
So Mars, if you look at the I wish I had the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, you have one side that is severity, and the other side is mercy. Severity is has Gavor, and Gavor is sever. And that's Mars. Mars severs. And Libra is amicability. It's the seeking some type of balance. And so that is a theme of figuring out, some people are being forced to go to war. And war doesn't mean attacking somebody. It means maybe somebody needs to be more assertive. Maybe some people need to stop playing the background and being second fiddle. Maybe you need to move up to first chair. Some other people may need to look at their ego. Maybe their ego needs to be put in check, because the North Node is where it wants our attention. The quality of the energy around that sign. So is my ego out of check? Is it out of control? Am I reckless? Because Mars can be reckless. Am I too passive? Do I need to be more assertive, letting people run over me and shit? Like, nah, this ain't happening no more.
Right.
So everyone has to figure that out individually. And you want to look at what house is Aries in your chart.
Yes.
Do you want to walk through okay.
Going with what you're saying, somebody asked a question and said, how do I know what my sister sign is? So it's always the opposite sign on the wheel, okay? And I would really look at what's your opposite ascendant sign, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And I would say that, like, for me, and I'll let he's the professional here, so I'll let him explain it. But for me, when I look at Taurus, because I'm a Taurus rising and a Taurus sun, right? On a good day, you're always going to meet Taurus, right? Pity the fool, who meets Scorpio, because Scorpio comes when I'm very agitated. Okay. And so, and one of my best friends is a Scorpio, and I tracked it. So she behaves like a Taurus when she's very agitated. So it's like that you're negative. That's why it's so important to study your sister sign. But that's just, I digress. But I'll let you explain it.
I agree. To piggyback, I'm an Aquarius sun.
Okay.
And my daddy was a Leo. My wife is a
Okay.
Leo. So I have very much a lot of Leo in me. I like to put me on the stage. I ain't gonna run. So there's a lot of Leo in the Aquarius. And can I just keep it real?
Yes, please do.
I have a healthy ego, and I've had times in life where I had to get my ego checked.
Okay.
I got 70 clients. I'm running $35,000 through a month, talking shit on Facebook, da 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 da. And then at the end, when it all settles, I get a call from the alarm company. My alarm's going off because they put me out of my business. All my equipment locked up. So that Leo side of me had to get put in check because that ego can, when Leo is
Right.
in its worst. So yeah, that whatever sign you are, you really are that, and it's opposite.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, this is like the axle on the car. You take both to drive. I got to figure out that Leo shit in me. The good, when it's operating how it should, I'm pulling from my heart, which is the elevated side of Leo. Taurus, the beauty that you see in Taurus, because by the time we get to Taurus, all the little flowers are starting to come out. And the earth is, in the northern hemisphere, things are getting warm, but Scorpio is the ugly shit that made all that possible.
I would also like to add that Scorpio is ruled by emotion because it's water, right? And even though it's Mars, it's like, think angry water, right? So it's
Right.
like,
So,
choppy waters, right? So I find Taurus to be very loving until they're not, and it's kind of like cold, right? So when you get the Taurus version in Scorpio, you get a very unfeeling, harsh energy. Okay. It's like very cold and calculated scorpionic energy without emotion. Okay. And then when Scorpio is upset, it's emotional Taurus shit. Like, I'm stomp you out now with my hooves because you made me emotional. That's how Scorpio uses its Taurus energy, whereas Taurus uses it in a very cold, plutonic almost way. But yeah.
is to the piggyback. Scorpio is surgical knives. See, when Mars is in Aries, Mars just waving he's waving a switchblade, cut whoever come up. When
Correct.
Mars is in Scorpio, he's surgical. He's very dangerous because he's a tactician.
Yes.
So, but here's the thing: how do you want to die? You want to get bit by the scorpion, or you want to get trampled by the bull? Because Taurus is the bull.
Right.
And so when you turn on the angry side of Taurus, it's the bull in the China shop, that whole scenario. But wow, we could. Okay.
I know we could go off in a whole other area. We got to stay targeted, right? Because we're over here having philosophical debates. But I love it. But okay. So with the North Node, for us to stay on track for these people, so now that we've explained how the North Node, because the North Node goes with the eclipses. So you have, what is it, 3 or 4 in an 18-month cycle under the 2 sister signs, and then it goes backwards on the chart, not forwards like the others, into the next 2. So like after we finish this Aries Libra, it'll go into Pisces and what, Virgo? Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you think? How would you explain to them how they should try to use that 9-year cycle or 18-year cycle to their advantage?
Well, it is different ways to answer that and look at this. On the most basic human physical level, pay attention to your blood, because Mars rules blood. So my theory about a lot of things going on in the world is that there's a blood war going on, and we understand what blood is. You think about these holy books, much as they talk about this is devilish and that's evil, they all got sacrifice in them where something had to give up some blood.
Right.
And so blood has a grid in it called a cytoskeleton. And the blood is the interface between spirit and humanity. It's the blood. The earth has blood called the oil, that is called oil. And when we have these, one thing sidebar, I'm about to start tracking when we've had these oil spills, because I don't think it was a mistake. I think they were sacrifices. They were, because it's the earth's blood and they needed to shed blood but that's another discussion.
Yes. And I was about to say, when you talk about the oil, it Reiki master. So it gave me straight Kundalini, the Christos, and how that rises, and that is an oil. And the earth has 7 chakras.
That's right.
We could go into a whole other thing, but
that's
yeah,
right.
I just wanted to touch on that because that's what you triggered when you said.
Yeah, I think they all go together. But so, if the North Node's in Aries, then personally focus on the blood. Blood is predominantly water, and the blood has stars in it. That's why Hollywood can't make you no star. You already are a star. You are walking stars that are compressed in your blood. So what can you do to invigorate your blood? How's your water intake? Are you doing things to create stress on your blood so that you can combat the stress that the world is going to put on your blood? So in other words, exercise is very important right now, because that's your way of training your blood to deal with the bullshit that the beast might try to throw on you to poison your blood.
And somebody just asked, is blood as in type A, B? Yes, that's part of it, because if you knew your type, then you could know what type of foods or would help that type run better, like a machine, right? But I think he also means all blood.
Yes.
Like, okay, so just wanted to preface that.
Yeah, just as an all-encompassing as a theme overall, just being more conscious that you have a river flowing through you. And the other things we talked about, just how I show up in the world, not being afraid of adventure. That's another thing about Aries. Aries is adventurous. I kind of think Aries is kind of like the fool card, and I don't want to step outside of my expertise, but the fool, when I look at some of those pictorials, he's at the edge of a cliff. He got his knapsack, and this fool is about to step off on nothing.
Absolutely.
And Aries is nothing if not the fool, because he does not base whether he's going to take a step on is it safe. Aries is about courage.
Absolutely. On this deck here, I'm looking for the Fool card because this is not a traditional deck, and I feel like it encapsulates exactly what you're saying. Give me 1 second. Of course, it would be all the way at the end and shit. Did I pass it? You can keep talking. When I find it, I'll show it.
Were there any other questions?
No, but what about, okay, so the card that I'm looking for, she's actually in a museum, okay? And she's doing a ritual in the middle of the museum. Okay, so it's like not logical. Okay, but it's like she has this divine conversation with spirit, and spirit's like, you're going to start this cycle right now. And she has all faith in spirit. She does not question. I'm going to show it to both cameras. Sorry. Hold on. There we go. Do you see how she's in a museum? And she's just doing a whole ritual. Sorry. She's doing a whole ritual with an offering, like you said. Okay? To let me show it to TikTok as well. To start a new cycle. And like with the full faith of what spirit is saying, you are the creator, the I am. It starts with me. I am the seed. So I felt like this, it even has like you know, it has the shell, which is like a representation of the feminine energy or giving birth. Venus. And Venus, right? So, and you see the shell in the picture with Venus as well in the background. So it just has this birthing. Okay, so Aries is like the birth or the first breath. That's right. Yeah, go ahead.
That's right. That's right. It's the head emerging from mama.
Yes.
And because it's interesting, this really not related, but it's something I just had a thought earlier because we were talking about Lilith when we met.
Yes, do it.
And you know, it's interesting that the story says that Lilith we got another question. Hello, in what ways should we take care of our blood besides? Thank you, because she brought me back to, because I don't think I fully. She said this is on StreamYard, Empress.
Okay, I'm trying to see it. I'm having a little issue here, but go ahead.
The question is from Rose JP. I think this might be one of your moderators.
Yeah, hey Rose. Hi, honey. Hey, Didi. I see all y'all over here. Thanks for coming. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. It says, hello, in what ways should we take care of our blood besides exercise? First, meditation. To calm the waters. Do you have any other thing that pops up for you?
So, you know, with Reiki, for me, it's a little different. So, because I was just having this conversation with my daughter, I'm a master and she's Reiki too. And we were having this conversation. I was telling her, like, I could see in my body now. Like, it's crazy. Like, I can actually go within my body, right? One of the things that I learned is that your body needs beats. Your body needs beets because it's like helps filtration. It helps the liver to regenerate, and the liver is cleaning a lot of your blood and your kidneys. So if you could get beets in your diet, do that.
Well, can wow. And it's red too. That's on some doctrine of signature type of vibe right there.
And listen, how I came to find out was crazy. I have another high priestess who she's a nurse, and her she's part of the ATR, so her deity told her, and she's my Reiki master, she taught me, okay, but her deity told her, go to Lovelee, because Lovelee is going to give you the recipe, because I do a lot of holistic medicine and with things. Go to Lovelee, and Lovelee is going to tell you what to take. So I start doing the Reiki session over her. And as I'm going over her, I said, listen, I don't know why, but Spirit's saying you got to eat beets. And she said to me, as a nurse, she said, that's crazy, because beets cleans out your blood. So she, through her medical training, was affirming the message that my Reiki spirit had sent through. So then, I knew that I was correct. But I didn't have that training to know that. My spirit said that.
Can I ask you something off of the
Sure.
astrology?
Yeah, go ahead.
So have you ever heard of the AO scanner?
The AO scanner. Could you be more specific? I might have
There's
heard of it and
another
not that
lady
term.
I follow, and she says she's a Reiki practitioner, and she does something in addition where it's some scanner where it's supposed to be able to, I guess this is like a digital counterpart to the Reiki, where she's supposed to be able to scan people even from far distances. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know why she calls it an AO scanner.
Well, this isn't a company. It's a company that sells this expensive machine.
That's awesome. I think that could be useful. Hi, my love. But I would say this. If you are really tapped into your Reiki, you're going to feel that.
So you don't need it.
No, I can beam distance Reiki. I can do procedures from a distance. Yeah. Yeah. Now, could that, if I was trained to use that, could that take it to the next level? Like, I ain't gonna shit on it because I never seen it, maybe it could be useful. But if you're really tapped in, you're good. And I think that for me, how it works is because I was born as a spiritist. So I'll give you a side story. When I went to my first training session where I was supposed to perform Reiki the first time in a group, they have us, you two hook up, you guys are students, you two hook up, you guys are students. And I told you that the high priestess was my teacher. And she had me go, and I did my first lady, and I said to her, I said, do you have your gallbladder out? And she said, yes, I do. And then the other lady said, am I supposed to know how to do that? But it's also because I already have spirit. So, I can't explain if that spirit is also a Reiki master or if we're just all growing together. I can't explain that part.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best I can say to that. You can't hear me? You should come out. Can you hear me now? That was on TikTok, so they should be on right now.
And then Shannon said, I'm AB negative. Anything else I should do? Years ago, a book came out called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Now, I tried it with some of my clients. Some of the stuff just seemed, it was too hard for, it was like, get venison and you need to eat mutton and all. But I can't say that it's not valid, but I can at least give it as a reference that you can check out and see if it resonates with you. But I do know that book has been out for at least 20 years. Eat Right for Your Type. They probably have put out revised copies by now. But You may want to look into that. I don't know, Empress, if you have
I
any
know that
specific.
there's a couple of ladies on TikTok. Do not ask me their names because I'm terrible with that. But I know if you went into the search bar and you put blood type medicine, you're probably going to find them. 2 women of color. They sound very, very intelligent on the subject. Okay. And follow them. And they talk about what kind of foods you should be eating and all that kind of stuff. Okay. I'm all for learning from others that have applied it. I think that it's that's why I love TikTok, because I feel like it's a resource. It's not like a lot of the other platforms where you are following people you know. Okay, like on TikTok, you follow people that have the same interest as you,
Yeah.
and so it becomes a learning tool. So that's, I feel like, the difference there. I wanted to say something about the eclipses. I feel like this is when did this Aries Libra, it started in October, correct?
I can tell you. Everybody needs to have an ephemeris.
Okay, let me see. American ephemeris. I don't have that. So I gotta find out what's with that. Okay.
Okay. So the nodes moved into Aries on July 18th of last year.
Right. But we had the first real eclipse or something would have been in October, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're like, what, 6 months, almost a year in. So we still have almost a year of this energy. So it's really important that you try to, first off, look at what house Aries is in your chart and what house Libra is in, because that's going to give you a secondary clue. So what do I mean by that? And I'll let Jamal explain further, but my Aries is in the 12th house. Okay, so my Aries is in the 12th house, the house of what am I could possibly be hiding from myself that's hindering myself from moving towards the direction that I have to go in. What things are being kept from me that maybe, because it could be external as well, right? What else? Spirituality is ruled in that area. So this could be a time where I have to put Aries, the self, my spirituality very much in the forefront if I want to get to where I'm going. That could be the tool, right? Especially, and a lot of my followers, they can tell you, they're like, you don't promote enough, you don't this enough. And because I feel like, well, people will find me when it's their time to find me, right? But this transit could be saying, no, it's time now for you to put your Aries energy to that 12th house and put it out in the front, especially that my North Node is Aquarius, age of Aquarius, networking, service to others, right? So on the internet, right? So this could be very much saying, it's time for you to flex, right? You have to get out there, even though maybe that's not what you like to do, right? So I'm challenging all of yous to look at not only where your where your North Node is, but where is Aries right now and Libra right now, because those 2 areas of your life are going to be in the forefront. What would you add to that, Jamal?
I if I can, I want to go back to the blood, and it ties
Okay.
into the question.
Go ahead.
We don't normally think of feeling when it comes with Aries, but we got to tap into observing how things affect us at a blood level. Like when we say so and so made me so mad my blood was boiling.
Right.
There's something to that. Like, do I, even to the questions about food and things, when I eat something, learn how to sit and assess how you feel after you ingest something, because that's your blood communicating with you. Learn, sit still with it. And because what you're doing is you're getting acquainted with self at all levels with this North Node and Aries. Like, not just who I am, like how I interact with people, but internally being still enough to have time to, because here's the thing, this world is always about hurry up, go here, you're late, deadline. And it kind of makes it hard for us. So there's going to be an onus throughout the rest of this North Node and Aries to make time for
For
self.
self. Absolutely.
Not bullshit, but man, know that. And I say man, not a gender. We're talking about race. Man or humanity, know thyself. So I got to make time to know myself, to get acquainted with who I am before I can even try to be acquainted with somebody else. I don't even know if that's even shit.
No, no, it's true. And I'll take it a step further, because Spirit's always like giving me other examples. And I've said this to my collective before. You know yourself in the roles that you are comfortable in and in the relationships you're comfortable in. But if I give you a job, and I challenge all of y'all right now, you know what I'm saying? Describe yourself without any fucking labels. Sister, friend, mother, not what you do, how many kids you got, who you got married to, none of that. What would be the words you would use? Because labels, we're all about labels. But do you know yourself without the labels? That's really knowing yourself. And it's not easy to sit down and even write 50 words about yourself without those labels. It's very challenging.
Do you want to walk through the houses?
Sure. Why don't you tell them? Let me just. They're doing something over here. Hold on. Okay, let's do this. We'll give them the definitions of the 12 houses, so that way, when they get off, they can look where their Aries and where their Libra is. So they'll know that that's the area of concentration for them. And
Okay.
then I feel like if you want, we can do another session in a few weeks, maybe talking about something else, because I feel like they really like this. We would just talk about a different subject. I thought you had one before, but yes, give them the 12 definitions so that way they would know what to look at.
Let me share a great learning tool. You can get this off of Amazon for about $6-7.
Okay.
And it's just a little, I'm self-taught. I look at a lot of these big time astrologers, and I studied in London, and I ain't got money to pay $3,000 for this and $5,000. So I had to teach myself. So I like to share tools I like to use. I need all audio, visual, tactile to help me learn. So I like little handout type stuff like this,
Okay.
So you get this off of Amazon. This astrology, just type in astrology learning tool, it ought to come up. And it breaks these houses down simply. Your first house, I am. That is naturally Aries territory, is the first house. It's what am I? What's the nature of the seed that I bring into this existence? The second house is what do I have? That's Taurus territory. So if your North Node is in Aries in the second, how is my identity? Oh, is my identity tied up with what I got?
Right.
possessions, things you want to look at. If Aries is in your second, if Aries is in your third house, how do I communicate? How do I learn? Am is How am I communicating? Am I tossing swords when I speak? Am I cutting people with my tongue? Do I have
Right.
a problem with listening because I want to be so quick to speak? Um, and then on the flip side, am I being courageous in how I speak? Aries in third house.
And let me just say, because somebody's here and they may not understand what we're talking about. It says, I have no Aries or Libra in your houses. You may not have planets there. Okay. But let's say that spot is empty, but it happens to be in the eighth house. Whatever the eighth house means, that's going to be the concentration. So don't think that because you don't have planets in that house, that it doesn't mean anything to you, because that energy is still part of your chart. Okay. But go ahead. Yeah.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
And that house, even if it's vacant, has a ruler. So think of it this way. You live in Texas and you're going to take a trip to South Carolina. Well, your house, although you're not there occupying at the moment, it's still your house. So whatever goes on with you in South Carolina is going to have some effect on your house down in Texas, because it depends on you to manage it. So
Right.
you want to find wherever the ruler of that house is going to have some influence on that house. Okay.
And maybe we'll have to do a second one on that, like to assist them to do. That's like a little more advanced. But let's just give them the definition of the 12, and then because then they have to also do, like, they have to look at the two houses.
Okay.
So you get what I'm saying? So let's yeah, no, I think it's great, right? But we have to do it in steps.
Down.
Yeah. We got to do it in steps. Yeah.
Okay.
But go ahead.
All right. Okay. So we did third house. If Aries North Node in the third, we did that. Fourth house is home and family. Do I need to fight for my bloodline? Do I need to fight for home? Do I need to fight for my children? Am I too combative? So wherever Aries is, we're going to look at those things. Am I asserting myself enough? Or am I asserting too much? Is my identity being drowned out by my family? Am I allowed to be myself amongst my tribe? So that's Aries in the fourth, things you may be focusing on. Aries in the fifth. Oh man, that's where I got it. So if I were single, I would want to be looking at, are my passions, can they get me in trouble? Because that's passion and romance in the fifth house. And people, Venus and Aries, attracted to fire, and so what's the nature of my romantic life? Am I getting burned by this fire? Am I being selfish? Am I being selfish with my children? Now this is your boy putting himself on Front Street here. Things I have to look at, like children have taught me how to sacrifice, because I'm naturally a selfish motherfucker.
Right.
So marriage and children have had to teach, women, for the most part, the woman, Venus teaches Mars how to love. That ain't his thing. Mars wants to plant his seed. Venus teaches him how to love.
Can I add to that? Because I equate them to the Empress and the Emperor. Those that follow me, they've heard me say this many times. So look at Venus and Mars. That's the Empress and the Emperor. That's like husband and wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. It's like the Empress is the creatress. She's the birther. She's the womb. Okay, so she creates the idea, she generates the idea, and she brings it into creation. And then she leans over to the emperor and says, right? And he wants to impress her. So what does he do? He goes out in action and he creates that so that he can say, you should pick me because you can create, you birth. Look what I can do to show you that I'm worthy to be the emperor. So they kind of go, as much as he's peacocking in front of everybody, the attention that he really wants is hers.
We got to do, we got to
Yes.
come back and we got to call the show Game.
Okay,
We got to
game. I'm
Game.
gonna write it down so I don't forget. Okay, go ahead.
And it's got to be about this emperor and empress and what I talked about the man. My uncle taught me. I ain't gonna go. I'm gonna get all off.
Yeah,
Game.
nah, we'll save that.
Okay,
We'll save that. I wrote it down.
Okay.
We'll save it.
Okay.
So give them
Sixth
the rest
house.
of the houses. Yeah.
Okay. Sixth house, Aries North Node in the sixth house. Sixth house is naturally Virgo's territory. So it can be about work and service and humility, which that word does not go with Aries. So, but it can be focusing on how my sense of self is developed through the service I offer to the world, how I serve, how I cultivate. It is also looking at, am I being valued for who I am at work?
Right.
You know, sixth house is also health. So Aries, there's, of course, we want to be extra attention to our health, the wellness of our vessel. So if you got if Aries is in your first house or your sixth house, then you want to especially be mindful of your health and taking care of it. Aries in the seventh house, relationship. What's the nature of it? All of these houses, how does the self show up in them? Does the relationship build value in self? Does it make me feel better about me? Does it allow space for me? Am I being too domineering in the relationship? Am I being too fucking combative? Ready to go to war so those are things to think about with Aries in the seventh. Aries in the eighth house. It is this, when you get to the eighth and 12th houses, those are heavy houses. Okay.
Yeah, mine's
those are
12.
naturally water houses because the eighth is naturally Scorpio's realm and the 12th is naturally Pisces realm. This is deep subconscious and unconscious energy. So when we talking about the eighth house, am I going through a form of ego death?
Right.
Is the snake shedding its skin? Am I being forced to become something new, which means something got to die that was? So if this is falling in your eighth house, you may be contemplating things about renewal. And renewal sounds cool, but it leaves out the part that renewal comes after a death. And It doesn't have to be a literal, but mostly metaphorical, like something in you had to go.
I would also like to add to that Mars was Scorpio's original ruler before it was assigned Pluto. So Mars feels extra comfortable in the eighth house. He's ready to turn shit up. He don't care. He's bout it in the eighth house.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
Right. Mars in the eighth is more, it's like this. And see, okay, I may be getting too complicated, but when signs have dual rulership, they function differently. Like Gemini, Mercury is Peter Pan in Gemini. He's a little trickster, but he's mature in Virgo.
And he uses it more like a tool. Yes,
that's right. Mars in Aries is, let's go. I'm drinking 240s tonight, and I'm gonna go and punch out some windows, and we're going to bar. We're gonna fight. If anybody want it, they can get it. But
Right.
when by the time Mars gets to Scorpio, he's been through some stuff. And now he knows how to use his weapons like a master, and he's dangerous. So he ain't as ready to fight as he is in Aries, but if he gets in a fight, he's like Lucy Liu in that, what's the movie where she's killing all the
Yeah. The Kill Bill.
Kill Bill, you
Yeah.
know, he's dangerous.
Kill Bill, the chick that plays Kill Bill, the blonde chick, Uma Thurman, she's actually born on my birthday, which is funny that you brought her up. Yes. But yeah, that's a whole other topic. But okay, yeah, go ahead. So you were saying
that's the 8th. That's the house of ego transformation. If Aries North Node falls in your 9th, you may be having a urge to move. You may have an urge to travel, or you may be ready for an adventure. And that adventure can be learning something you never explored, you know, a new perspective. And that new perspective may be about you, you know. Some people may pick up some type of spiritual tradition.
I would add to that. That for those who kind of walk through life not really, like, unintentionally and not paying attention, and let's say you have Aries in your 9th house, right? And you know this transit is going, and you don't use that energy to expand some type of knowledge, because that's what the 9th house is about. Guess what could happen? You could gain weight. Expansion.
Yeah, Jupiter.
No, dead ass. Like, you know, because it'll take on its physical form. It's gonna come in somewhere. The expansion's gonna happen somewhere. You choose which way.
yo, that's crazy. Because look, you just open up Pandora's. Listen, that's a deeper conversation.
Absolutely.
Because the 9th house is Jupiter's domain, and Jupiter expands things. You know what's crazy? When I don't, because I'm an Aquarius sun, so I got Saturn. I got a lot of Saturn about me. As much as the rebellious Uranus, I got that Saturn. So I sometimes I'm a recluse and want to be a hermit, and if I don't speak, sometimes I'll get sick.
Right.
Because sometimes you got to open your mouth.
That spirit forcing you.
True indeed.
They know all about that, because we talk about that all the time. How spirit will set you up, like your ass in. Listen, well, guess what? I'm gonna have to set your ass up, because this is part of your soul contract. So you still gonna do it, and you have like a choice of whether you could do it the easy way or the hard way. You know, hard head make a soft ass. We all heard that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's a question about how you want to do it. But I want to stay on target because of the time.
Okay.
And we're definitely going to have to do another session, you know, give them a couple weeks to digest this, and we'll come back and do something else. But let's finish telling them about the houses so they could get, you know,
the whole picture. We got 3 more to go.
Okay.
10th house. Now, 10th house is, didn't you and I talk about this, that Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, because that's where my North Node is, in the 10th house. Yeah, so I have that placement, and my Mars is at the 1st degree of the 10th house.
Yeah, because if I remember, I do remember that, because we talked about Mars trying something. I don't want to tell you a chart, but yeah. Okay, so this can be the energy of literally can be a fighter, a boxer. It is, but the 10th house is the house of career. The word career means chariot of the sun. How do I bring my son up to the stage where everybody can see? So Aries in the 10th is leadership, first of all. You know, so am I hiding from leadership? Am I afraid to take charge? And how do I lead? How am I leading? If you're already a leader, how am I leading? If you're not, have you thought about being a leader? Are you afraid?
Right.
Are you afraid to take center stage? So that may be something to think about with Aries in the 10th. Aries in the 11th, friendship. Is my identity wrapped up in my friends? Do they make me? How does community support my sense of self? Am I surrounding myself with people that feed me? And am I feeding them? Am I running people off? That's the other side.
Correct.
Okay. Aries in the 12th. Now I said 8th and 12th are heavy houses. Here's another conversation. We may have to come back just to talk about the trauma, because the 12th and the 8th can be houses where trauma can be held. So we know about the 12th as being unseen forces or self-undoing and imprisonment, and but those are some of the more negative. The 12th house can also be the house of inspiration
and spirituality.
Because we are in communion with and fusion with energy that goes beyond the three-dimensional realm. And so how does my spiritual life support my sense of identity? And the Empress talked about this. She shared that that's where her Aries is.
Mm-hmm.
Am I asserting myself? Am I supposed to be a leader in this community?
Right.
Am
And
I
stepping
hiding
into
in the
that.
shadows?
Absolutely. Stepping into that can be, quite difficult.
So these, this is just a rough glossing over, but just to kind of give you all at least an opening volley into assessing these 12 houses and how it may, because one of these I've named, you got Aries there.
Right, exactly. Yes. So I really think this was very enlightening. I really feel like it gave us food for more conversations, because it just seemed like every 15, 20 minutes we're like, yeah, we got to do something about that. We're going to have to do something about that. So if you guys loved this, what I need you to do, and not only those of you that are watching right now, but those of you that are going to watch later, is I need you to run over to 720 Astrology and follow. I also am going to need you guys, like if you're on Facebook or whatever, and you're in these astrological groups, share this video. Help us get out there, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff online, frankly, is bullshit. It's bullshit. Do you want good information and some good knowledge? Then you got to support those that are trying to give you that. Okay. So we would definitely do this again. I really liked it. What did you think? How did you feel coming on?
I love it. I mean, it was just, it was organic. We just let it flow. And I mean, I think that's how it should be. And again, thank you for allowing me for sharing your platform with me. And thank you to all your followers for allowing me to participate.
Oh, no doubt. And actually, thank you for being my first guest. Okay. And I feel like you did great. And it looks like you're a hit. So we will definitely schedule something. Let's give them like 2 or 3 weeks to digest. Maybe we'll come back after the eclipses are over. And we could maybe do the Emperor and the Empress. Okay.
Yeah.
You're signing up to 720. Good. All right, guys.
All right. Thank you, Shane.
So it was good seeing you guys, and it was great having you. Thank you so much. And we will definitely do this again. Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. Good night.
Peace.
Bye.